the Greek capital for us. We'll return to him shortly.
Let's stay in Athens and speak to Dimitri Vlasidis, who's a psychiatrist who works in the public sector in Greece. He's at home in Athens, and I assume that you also have been watching these scenes on your television. What do you make of what is going on?
I haven't looking at the television, as I do not have television, as I'm fed up with listening all the time the same things. But I heard from you and I heard from the radio that there are 3 people that are dead. And first of all, I feel very, very sad, and I feel sorry for their families. Whoever decide these people were the victims of something. Now, I work in the public sector, and I think that these measures of austerity, we're going to suffer a little bit. But I think, on the whole, we have to look at the future. We have to look at what is going to happen in our country. And if these measures do not come and do not pass through the government, then what is the future?
That is a good question. We've been looking at the big picture through the course of today. Just for you, as an individual in the public sector that is going to see so much squeezing, is it clear to you how you are going to be affected?
Yes, I will have. I will not have the 13th and what's so-called the 13th and 14th salary, and then I will. I will get only a solid 800 euros per year instead of the 2 salaries I used to get. That, as far as I know, according to these measures, I will be affected. Now, everything they say will increase: the petrol, the cigarettes. I do not smoke. The drink. The drink was always cheap here. Now I will have to do a bit with less. I have to live, and I know how to live with a bit of less.
The unions, though, have been saying it's perhaps the poorest people there in Greece who are going to be affected the most. I mean, is that how it appears to most people there?
They are going to have difficulties. I do appreciate that. But I think even these people, we have to look. What other alternatives have we got to the stage in which we have reached? We have reached the bottom. Can we go further than that? And we need something to start making the future and look at it better, providing, of course, that all these measures, they would go in good hands, as they tell us.
And in terms of the politicians, your Prime Minister, the government, how much is being explained in terms of the justification for all of these cuts? Are they able to put the case, and are they doing that regularly?
I think that they have done, but going into big details to how much we owe and why we owe, I don't think we have to have a PhD in economics, in which beyond our comprehension. I know simple maths. I know that we have been living with borrowed money. They've been promoting to get loans and loans to go on a holiday, loans to go there, and now we have to pay back.
And just a final thought then. I mean, you say you recognise the difficulties it's going to cause for many, many people, but as the politicians sit and consider this, in your view, do I take it from what you said that you think they should push this through? When they come to vote, they should vote for this austerity package? For
the good, there is a certain stage in our lives, or in a certain stage of our economy, in which we all, whether we agree and whether we have voted for this government, we have to say we're going to do that, and we're going to make another hole in our belt tighter.
Well, Dimitri Vlasidis, thanks for taking time to speak to us today. Thank you.
Just let me recap briefly before we discuss this a little more. If you're just joining us here on BBC News, the latest we have on this situation in the Greek capital is that 3 people have died after a fire in a bank caused by a petrol bomb, and 2 other government buildings are on fire. One used by tax officials, apparently completely gutted, another used by the regional authorities. So the situation pretty tense there in Athens, and rioting also in Thessalonica, Greece's other main city. We were talking there a little bit about the background to all of this, why the anger, why the frustration, and let's speak now to Mariam Mashiri, who's here with the Business News and can talk more about the essence of the Greek crisis, really.
Absolutely, yes. Well, the people in Greece, obviously, is a dramatic picture showing are angry about these measures. We're looking at measures to cut costs, to reduce spending, to reduce and cut pay amongst people working within the civil service. And these measures are aimed at amounting to 30 billion euros over the next 3 years. Now, there is a lot of uncertainty within the Eurozone governments as to whether or not this package will work and whether or not the Greek people will accept these very, very tough austerity measures. And these dramatic scenes in Athens will do little to calm those fears amongst investors. Here in Europe, the markets are down, and that's a reflection of the worry. Also, the euro, crucially, has hit a 1-year low against the dollar today, and that, again, is investor lacking confidence in the Eurozone and the possibility of solving this crisis, and this crisis not moving and spreading around other European countries. Well, let's talk now to Azad Zangana, who is from Schroders. Azad, talk us through, first of all, the fear about this bailout not being enough to sustain Greece in the longer term, because that is a big issue, isn't it, amongst European investors today?
Absolutely, and even at the end of this bailout in 3 years' time, Greece will have approximately between 140% and 150% of GDP debt, and that debt needs to continue to be financed in coming years.
Now, we talked obviously about the spread or the possibility of the spread of this crisis to other countries. What's the worst case scenario if that does happen?
Well, the worst case scenario is that Portugal and then Spain, which is a much, much larger country than Greece, runs into similar difficulties whereby the international debt markets freeze up and Spain cannot fund its own deficit. And if we get into that situation, then potentially we could be talking about hundreds of billions of euros in terms of a bailout for Spain. It's a situation that's simply not affordable for the Eurozone.
And of course, these types of fears and worries, that is of course a worst case scenario, but these fears and worries have had a huge impact on the euro today, which I think is trading at its lowest level in over a year against the dollar. That's right. There is a loss in confidence today, not only when we look at the potential for Greek default in the long term, but from the scenes today, there could be potential that Greece itself runs into a situation whereby it can't introduce all these austerity packages. I mean, this is only the first year of a potentially 5 to 10 year plan of austerity. Although this is the worst year of coming years, if it can't get this year through, then what's going to happen next year and the year after? I mean, there seems to be such a lot of resistance to this within Greece. What would happen if they voted against it? If they voted against it, Greece is bankrupt. Simple as that. We would have mass unemployment because public sector workers would just simply not be paid. That would then ripple through into pretty much a catastrophic default situation, and it would feed through into higher borrowing for Portugal, Spain, Ireland as well, and potentially, although this is potentially some way away, a breakup of the Eurozone. And of course, we've seen Angela Merkel today talking about the need to push this forward. There are obviously European nations like Germany who are going to vote in favour of these measures and this debt package. But there has been some dissension amongst other European member states. Well, I think the most of the dissension has actually been within Germany. There's a regional election on May the 9th in Germany, and there is political capital to be made by opposition parties with regards to this. Of course, Germany has actually pushed through their own austerity packages for some years now, and it just feels wrong amongst Germans to be helping a country that's just been living beyond its means for so many years. Absolutely. I mean, looking ahead, this austerity package, it's going to be a very difficult 3 years for Greece, isn't it?
it's going to be a horrendous year for Greece. The European Commission today released its updated forecast, and it's now expecting the Greek economy to contract by 3% of GDP. This is at a time when the rest of the Eurozone is coming out of recession, the US is doing well again in positive growth. It's going to feel terrible.
Okay, Azad, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for that insight.
Mariam, thanks very much. Just to the right of the screen.